Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, so for what I have you here, this is the data for Season 7 Ultra League compiled by YTX Pikachu. As I always say, please consider follow on Twitch, first of all, and also follow his Twitter. Amazing data. This stuff really helps me out, and I'm going to go over, for this video, first I'm going to go over Ultra Premier and try to put together, like, just analyze the top 10, or like... Yes, so this is the top 10 as far as usage go, and I'm going to do an in-depth analysis on each of them, just so that you can see, like, which patterns are you going to likely see, etc. Alright, so first off, we have Abomasnow at a whooping 10.7% overall, and is a very popular lead. As you see here, statistically, the Shadow one and the regular version, depending on which one you have, are both extremely powerful. There are minor differences between each one, as you see here. You just have a, well, you basically have the same matchups, but with the regular one, you have a lot more bulk. And along with that, compared to the Shadow one, you are able to last longer, so it's really hard to say which one's a bigger threat. I would say both of them are just really annoying and are just, well, yeah, both of them can be a really big threat. The only difference is, and I think the big difference is, if you look at Shadow's losses, Shadow can lose against Empoleon really hard. Well, not really hard, it's just you have to watch out for Drill Peck, just because that extra bulk does matter when you fight Empoleon. Because the thing is, you do need to double... You essentially either need to bait a shield, or you have to straight Energy Ball Empoleon to take it out. So just keep that in mind. Just because, since Empoleon is a Water and Steel type, Energy Ball does neutral damage. Your Weather Balls will be resisted, so it's in your best interest to be able to Energy Ball it to death. But as you see here, each one has its differences. The Shadow one is obviously much more powerful, and in the closer and switch patterns will do more for you. In the lead, there's barely too much of a difference though, so it's really up to you. Shadow's a lot harder to obtain than the regular version. However, as you see here, both versions are very beastly. Regardless of which one you have, it's really freaking good. As you see here, Abomasnow does wonders against Togekiss, any of your flyers, Venusaur, outside of, I'd say, like Skarmory XL or any steel types, but as you see, it rips a new one through Venusaur. It rips through a lot of popular Pokemon. Now, the thing that's the big... You'll likely see the regular version much more than the Shadow version. However, I think the regular version's a lot better to invest in, just because the regular version, like I said, more bulk equals better. So, in this case, you also beat Empoleon, which happens to also be the most popularly used mon in Ultra Premier as of right now. So, it's in your best interest to use regular Abomasnow. Anyways, pretty simple to beat Abomasnow. Either fry it to death with a Charizard, turn it into fried chicken, which I don't mean your chicken, I mean you're using the fried chicken that's on fire to fry the Mr. Abomasnow or Snowman, whichever one you want to call it. Or it's simple. You just take the shovel or 4 arms and you Mortal Kombat your way to victory by punching it to death with Machamp or any other fighter. Kingdra, as you see here, is actually really good for Ultra Premier. Well, you probably already know that because you've probably seen a lot. The reason why Kingdra is such a powerful save switch is because if you get the Octazooka debuff, it basically flips the match. And if it's probably the most annoying thing in the world, because if you get the debuff, if the debuff is on you, it sucks. If it's on your opponent, they don't debuff you, or whoever debuffs each other first basically wins the mirror match. Also, with the debuff, you can, like I said, you can flip a ton of matchups. A good example would probably be, let's give Gengar here. If you get the debuff on Gengar, let's see, if you 2-shield your way through, assuming that you Octazooka, and you do get the debuff is applied, Kingdra flips, see how Kingdra just flips the matchup? And all you have to do is shield and then farm it down. So, being able to flip matchups with the Octazooka debuff is just too valuable. That's why Kingdra is so used. Not so much as a lead, it's actually 1.1% as a lead, but you could expect to still see Kingdra as a switch. So, as you see here, Charmers on the back, etc. would be in your best interest. Or, if you want to, Dragon Breath Charizard actually takes you out. As you see here, your key wins are against Swampert, Venusaur, Empoleon, Dragonite, and Charizard. The reason why you're still able to beat Empoleon is just because you double resist Empoleon's Waterfall, so it has to straight Drill Peck you to death. Also, if you get the debuff on Empoleon, you pretty much kill it, like, for sure. So, again, Kingdra is number 10. The usage is at 11.8, so you can expect to see it for a lot. You could expect to see it a lot. It'll close out as a switch and as a closer. It's very strong, so just look out for it. Again, just use Charmers, etc. Or Charmer. I would say Charmers. Let's see, what else do you use? Charmers, Gallade, Leaf Blade can, well, not really Leaf Blade, but try to Confusion it down. And you could try to outpressure it, because Kingdra isn't that bulky, but you could still deal heavy damage. Like, if you could deal heavy damage, that's why it loses to Gengar, you can win the match. But be aware, if you get debuffed, you're likely going to lose the current matchup, even if it's positive. Just because of how much damage Dragon Breath does, and just how -2 can really affect the outcome of whatever matchup you're in right now. Alright, so for the next one we have Galvantula XL. As you see here, Galvantula XL is a beast in Ultra Premier. I think someone in the YouTube comments at one point when I was reading my comments, they actually said it was underrated, and I wholeheartedly agree. Galvantula XL is a powerful safe switch. In fact, it is, as you see here, it is at 98.5, so it's amongst one of the top safe switches. Can also be used in the lead. I think you can use Galvantula XL to catch Empoleons in the lead very well. I think the only concern I have is basically Swampert leads, but other than that, as you see here, it can beat Venusaur, it can beat Empoleon, it can also beat Gallade, it can beat Shadow Champ, it can beat a lot of things in the lead that are relevant and popular. Along with that, you can do things like debuff plays if you choose to, and even if you do get something like a Charizard, you can press your Charizard really hard. Like, you're probably, like, for Charizard, you could probably 2-shield your way to victory, or just force your way through it. Just because Galvantula XL is just so beastly because of level 50 matters, basically. Anyways, as you see, Galvantula XL has a 12.3 overall usage, so looks like a lot more battlers have gotten either to walk their XL Galvantula, or they were able to catch, because I believe in rainy conditions, you can see Galvantula a lot. So Galvantula, as you see here, used a lot. 5.5% in the lead, pretty popular, so it's up there as far as, it's pretty up there as far as, like, the lead usage goes. Actually, I think it ranks, like, number 4, but again, in the lead or the switch, you can expect to see Galvantula XL if you haven't seen already, and it's pretty beastly, as you see here. Your best counters to it would be Swampert, Kingdra, Charizard. Kingdra can bully its way through Galvantula XL, especially if you get the debuff. Also, Dragonite, anything with Dragonite will basically give Galvantula a very hard time as well, or if you resist Volt Switch, just because grass, and other typings like grass and ground that do resist electric types will have a strong matchup against Galvantula. Alright, look at who's back. It is Dragonite, and Dragonite, as you see here, is, from the data, 12.9% the most popular lead as of right now. Dragonite is, as you see from the data collected, is featured in a 10th, literally a 10th of the leads. So 1 out of 10, you're probably going to see a Dragonite in the lead. So it's in your best interest to have counters against Dragonite. Dragonite is insanely powerful for several reasons. Most of the time you will see the Shadow version. The regular version works as well, but the extra Shadow damage does add up. As you see here, it's barely different as far as, like, I would say there's barely a difference, but as far as, like, key wins go, if you take a look over here, Dragonite Shadow can take out XL Talonflame very comfortably, and the regular one can as well. They basically have the same ones. It's just with the regular Dragonite, you have a lot more, you have a little more bulk. I wouldn't say, like I said, it doesn't really matter too much, but the Shadow Dragon Breath damage can matter over time if you're trying to rack up damage. And I do see, when I was still going into Ultra Premier and practicing into it, or just watching battles from my friends, you do see the Shadow version a lot. So just keep in mind that if you do get the mirror match, whichever one wins CMP will technically win that match. It can also be IV dependent, but if you run Dragon Breath and you lose CMP, it's in your best interest to probably switch out or bank that you're going to lose the mirror match. As you see here, I'm just going to analyze the Shadow one because I think the Shadow one's the one you'll probably see the most. As you see here, the Shadow Dragonite is very powerful. It takes out the elemental Pokemon very heavily, like Swampert, Venusaur, and Charizard. So anything that resists, anything that and even the fighter. So that's what makes Dragonite really good as a Shadow. The regular version, as you see here, does lose against Machamp against Waterfall. I mean, if it gets Rock Slided. Shadow can as well, but as you see here with Shadow, you can pretty much bully your way through Shadow Machamp, just because the Shadow damage adds up. So again, it's really up to you. You will see the Shadow version. Obviously, the best way to counter said Dragonite is to have an Ice type like Abomasnow XL. Dragon Breath Charizard also does wonders against Dragonite. So if you have a Dragon Breath Charizard can give Dragonite a very hard time. Empoleon also beats Dragonite pretty handily. Just be aware, if you get hit with a big move like Draco Meteor, it's gonna suck a lot. However, Empoleon, if you see here, Empoleon still does well against Dragonite. But the thing is, Dragonite Shadow can actually 2-shield its way to victory. As you see here, Dragonite can 2-shield its way through Empoleon as a Shadow. If you use a regular version, I'm not sure if you can, so let's see. If you switch to a regular Dragonite, so let's see, regular Dragonite, where are you at? Okay, right here. So if you switch to a regular Dragonite, as you still win, so the 2-shield, but you lose the 0. So I think Shadow does do better, and like I said, over time, the Shadow Dragon Breath damage does add up. It's really up to you. Not really surprised that it is the most popular lead as of right now, and it's pretty dang... At this point, you probably have one because of the multiple rocket events. If you don't, regular one does work. However, Shadow Dragonite is a beast. Alright, now we're going to the ones with a higher usage, and Talonflame XL, as you see here, is insanely powerful. It's not really surprised anyone's not using it, just because Talonflame... I would say if there's one thing that really broke the meta, I would say it's Talonflame XL. We did have a community day, but it's also very, very expensive to use, and it is also very, very difficult to use because of Incinerate. Incinerate is a very skill-based move because you really have to time your moves correctly, well, I'm talking about your opponent on you, because your opponent's using Talonflame on you, and they get one through, it sucks a lot. If they get... Having a 5-turn move go through a move of yours is probably one of the worst things one of the worst feelings in the game, because you're like, wow, crap. Anyways, Talonflame XL is a monster. So the thing about Talonflame XL that makes it really dangerous is, as you see here, it's not really surprised 15% are using it. Not so much as the lead, just because Swampert, Dragonite, etc. Empoleon. It's really bad as a lead, because a lot of popular leads, as you see here from the list, of like Galvantula, like not really Galvantula, I wouldn't say that. Kingdra, Machamp can straight rock slide through it. Swampert and Empoleon just rip it a new hole. So as you see, your Talonflame is excessively powerful. As you see here, it's best suited in the closer. It can work as a lead, but that's given you don't see I don't really see a lot of people probably leading it. I can probably see it, but as you see here, if you lose the lead, it's gonna suck a lot. But Talonflame XL with energy is a beast, and one Brave Bird can kill a Swampert. So as you see here in the lead, it's only at 3.3%, so not as much as other, just because, like I said, in the higher elos, you will see a lot of Empoleon or water leads, and getting Talonflame locked into a bad matchup kind of sucks. What you can do in that scenario is break a shield with Brave Bird, hit 3, Brave Bird, Flame, or whichever one you want to do. Just if it's Empoleon, just make sure you switch out right away, though, because you're not going to... Empoleon does resist both of your moves, so just be very careful. So, again, you can Brave Bird and then dip, or you can just switch out right away. It's up to you. But Talonflame XL is very beastly. Very likely you'll see one in the back if you don't see it in the lead. And next up, we got Venusaur. So, the starter Pokemon are wreaking havoc as usual. If we already knew, like, if you watch my budget video, you already knew this was going to be good. If you've been playing Go Battle League Ultra Premier Cup for a very long time, or for a while, you already know Venusaur is a beast. The 4-legged frog, the dinosaur, the flower of death. You can use Shadow, you can use regular version. I've actually seen a few Shadow ones, and not really such a surprise, just because we did have the Kanto event not too long ago, where you could evolve it and get yourself a Venusaur or Shadow Venusaur with Frenzy Plant. As you see here, Venusaur is still here to stay as a destroyer. Basically anything that doesn't light it on fire, or anything that doesn't fly, for the most part. It can... Steel types also give Venusaur a hard time. However, a lot of things Venusaur can actually bully through with Frenzy Plant. As you see here, Venusaur is, like, amazing. Mostly used in the lead or closer. You won't have it switched. You likely won't have Venusaur switched into you unless unless you're locked into like a Swampert. Then usually your opponent is locked into a really bad matchup if you switch into a Venusaur. So as you see here, Venusaur is a beast. It takes out the water archetype, pretty much erases Swampert from the face of the earth, as well as Empoleon. Now, here's a word of warning. If you decide to farm down into Swampert, you are insane. It's in your best interest to just Frenzy Plant to death unless you want to get farmed. As you see here, it does really well against Charmers as well as fighters. That poison typing really does matter, and as you see here, it does very, very well against a variety of things. Electric types, charmers, and fighters don't do well against it. However, flyers and dragons and fire does a lot. Also, ice types can give Venusaur a hard time. The slow key secret about Alolan Muck is that yes, Alolan Muck beats you. However, if you have energy lead or shield advantage, you can frenzy plan your way through Alolan Muck and come out with a W. So again, Venusaur is still very good. As you see here, it functions at a 4.9%. So not so much in the lead, not as other patterns. You'll probably still see it. And just because it does, you can catch a lot of popular leads with it. It's kind of like the Antichrist of the current meta right now because it does beat Empoleon, Machamp, and Swampert. So it's really, really powerful, really good. And if you have one and you like using it, I don't blame you. It's really good. Alright, so in the top 3, we got Swampert. Swampert looks to have a whooping usage in Ultra Premier, which is a little surprising considering the fact there are a lot of Venusaurs, etc. in the back that could probably tear you a new one. However, if you get Swampert into a neutral matchup or with energy lead, etc., Mudshot plus Hydro Cannon is the most overpowered combination in the game. As you see here, because of that moveset, Swampert reigns at number 3 or number 4 overall. Not too much a difference between each and every one of them. It's just a really freaking good. The Shadow one does better just because the Shadow damage adds up. If you don't have one, don't feel bad about it. The regular one does just fine. But there is a difference between Shadow damage. Only because I've used the Shadow one a lot in Ultra League before, like, well, I've used it a lot. So the thing about it is that extra Shadow damage you get from Shadow Hydro Cannon, with one Hydro Cannon, you will likely take out a Charizard or get it near dead. So the Shadow damage adds up, especially if it's a super effective shot. So it is worth looking into Shadow Swampert. As you see here, in the positions that you see in the comparison, Shadow Swampert does have a lot more play as far as rating goes, just because of the extra Shadow damage. Add that to Mudshot, which is a 9 energy generating move with a 40 energy move that's obscenely overpowered, was nerfed once before. It's really freaking good. However, it does fall. A lot of teams do target it a lot. As you see, the thing about Shadow Swampert, it's able to beat Shadow Machamp. It's also, or just a regular Machamp too can do it. So it beats a lot of combinations. But the reason why you only see it at 4.9% is just because Dragonite, Venusaur, and Kingdra, if you get locked into one of those, it kind of sucks a lot. And I don't mean for your opponent, I mean for you. As you see here, Swampert is also susceptible to getting blasted by Talonflame. One Brave Bird can destroy a Swampert, especially Shadow one in one shot if your shields are down. So because of that, it's in your best interest to be able to KO the Talonflame as fast as possible. Because like I mentioned before, if it has a burb, you're probably going to die. Also, the thing about Swampert in that, even though it's really freaking good and literally it destroys Kingdra, it destroys Ampharos, the electric types, of course, because you double resist, or actually you resist electric types because of ground resistance. You beat Empoleon, which is a plus, and if you have a Shadow Dragonite or Dragonite Hurt, like your as you see here, you can actually chip away at them. So if they're nearly dead and you have Hydro Cannons banked, they're probably going to die if you just spam Hydro Cannon. But that's how good it is. As you hear, Swampert is so powerful, it reigns at number 3. You can beat it with Venusaur, you can beat it with Dragonite. There's a lot of things that beat Swampert. There's also Surfetch with Leaf Blade and Gallade with Leaf Blade. One Leaf Blade will destroy a Swampert. So even though Swampert's really, really good, there's a lot of things that it does not like. But as you see here, because it has a high overall usage of 15.7 and ranks at number 3, it's really... no one cares. Machamp plus Hydro Cannon. Yay. Hailing at number 2 with a 16.8% lead rating is Machamp. Well, actually, it's like the 1, 2, 3. I'm mathing wrong, I apologize. But it looks like it's the 5th most popular lead, with your overall usage being relatively high at 16.8. And for good reason. Machamp absolutely obliterates anything. Well, it can obliterate. So the thing about Machamp and what makes it really good is that if you land a Rock Slide on a Dragonite, you pretty much kill it. You can go straight Rock Slide against Talonflame XL, so you, against Talonflame XL, you could just straight Rock Slide. I would bait first, if you're going to use Machamp, bait first. Or if you see my video where I'm actually using Machamp in Open Ultra League, bait first and then Rock Slide. Because 9 times out of 10, your opponent's probably going to shield, because if they had a full-on Rock Slide, they're going to get OKO'd anyways. As in one shot. It can bully its way through Kingdra, it can beat Empoleon, it destroys Obstagoon, takes out the Snorlax, takes out basically anything that Machamp can punch to death. Bad day for you. It does lose against a lot of the starter archetypes like Swampert, Venusaur, and obviously you want it nowhere near Gallade or any Confusion user because it's going to get melted, as well as a Charmer, especially Gengar as well. So Gengar, you can Rock Slide it to death, however, Gengar triple resist counter because of the Ghost and Poison typing. Also, if you can't Rock Slide through Dragonite, you are likely going to lose that matchup. So again, what makes Machamp so powerful is against things like Charizard and Talonflame, you can Rock Slide them to death. You can even Rock Slide Shadow Dragonite and Rock Slide Venusaur, etc. at a certain range. Now, when it comes to Shadow for this one, as you see, the strongest rating is a lead, so I'm not really surprised it's 6.9% as a lead. It doesn't do bad in the back row as well, because if you lock it into a positive matchup, it can punch its way to victory. As you see, not too much of a difference between the Shadow and the regular one. I actually prefer using the regular one, because you want to get as much chip and as much energy as you can, especially if they have Confusion or Charm. Every last bit of energy counts. If you could Rock Slide Gengar, you could Rock Slide Dragonite, etc., you could possibly come out with a W. But again, Machamp is very powerful. Machamp's been here for a while. You know how to kill it, and you know what kills it, and you know how to kill everything with, well, you don't know how to kill everything with it, but it's really freaking good as a lead. And it's not really weird to see why, just because, like I mentioned before, takes out the flyers, takes out anything weak to fighting, this thing will absolutely annihilate, and it also wins CMP. So Machamp will win CMP against a lot of things. And even XL Umbreon can't do much against a Machamp. XL Umbreon will fall to a Machamp relatively quickly. One Crotch Chop does a humongous amount of damage just because of how high Machamp's attack is. And drumroll please, guess who's back? Back again. The Penguin is back. Tell a friend. That was really dull. I apologize. Anyways, as you see, Empoleon does take the #1 slot as the most used lead. Our overall usage, it does fall to actually it falls to Dragonite at 9.3%, but as you see here, it's a freaking monster. It's the #2 mostly used, and overall usage at 19.1. Which is very strange, because as you see here, at first glance, Empoleon doesn't look like it does much, does it? However, the reason why it's so good is because of a lot of reasons. Drill Peck covers the grass archetype, so if you beat the unholy crap out of the grass type enough, you could possibly Drill Peck to victory. Along with that, as you see here, Empoleon can beat Dragonite. So Empoleon, because you resist Dragon Breath, Empoleon can Drill Peck you to death. So along with that, it does resist the Charmers as well. The reason why Machamp and Swampert and Venusaur are so heavily used is because, well, I think along with it, with all the other possible combinations, is because Empoleon does rip you a new one. The Empoleon Double Dragon team is the most common team in Ultra Premier as of the last time data was updated. So Empoleon is still really freaking good because of the things I mentioned. It resists Charmers, you could beat Dragon Breath users with it, it absolutely destroys fire, and you rip through it a lot of things. With shields, Empoleon can do a lot of things. It even does well against the Confusion users. As you see, Gallade does have a strong matchup with it. However, that doesn't mean you don't have anything to beat it. So again, basically the top 4 are basically tailor-made to just erase Gallade from existence. Empoleon can still 2-shield its way through. As you see here, even if they go straight Leaf Blade, you can 2-shield your way through Gallade, and that's why Empoleon is such a powerful lead. With 2 shields, Empoleon's Waterfall stab damage, same type attack bonus, plus Drill Peck and Hydro Cannon, which is the most overpowered community move of all time, had to be nerfed. It is the #1 lead. So Empoleon being beat, it's not really hard to beat Empoleon in a sense. All you have to do is literally punch it to death. The Water and Steel typing does cause grass to do neutral damage. It can also die to electric type. So it's not like Empoleon doesn't have weaknesses out there, but the reason why it's so powerful as a lead, because it beats a lot of what I aforementioned here in the key wins. Beats Dragonite, can beat Togekiss, can beat a lot of things, and also if you catch a Talonflame or a Charizard lead, you are vibing very hard, my friend. So as you see here, you can 2-shield your way to victory, or as you see, like Dragonite can 2-shield its way to a win, but every other scenario, it loses. So if you get Dragonite to the 1-shield, you win the match. But the reason why Empoleon is so powerful is because, like I mentioned, outside of the top 3, it can beat so many things in the 2-shield. Especially if you catch something that's weak. Obviously, if you're weak to water, it's going to suck. Or if you resist a move, Empoleon is here to stay. So Empoleon with Double Dragon, it's probably the reason why. Empoleon paired with Kingdra is a very popular combination, and you probably still see a lot in Ultra Premier. And that's it. As you see here, Empoleon is still king. The Emperor Penguin still reigns supreme. I didn't expect to see too much of changes. I think the only surprise I really saw was really Galvantula XL and Abomasnow. It's pretty hard to find a spider, so to see that many spiders running around, the itsy bitsy spider isn't a story that I like to hear. Anyway, some miscellaneous mentions, as you see here, Dexel Pokemon actually, like, the good thing is in Ultra Premier, what dominates the meta is Ultra XL Pokemon are still overpowered as hell, and I think they should be banned. However, as you see here, it's good to see that these starters actually take up the top 3, or not top 3, the top 4, and things like Machamp. In other words, things that are more accessible as far as like you can get them easily, or not easily per se. I would say like they're a lot more, like if you wanted to prepare one, probably wouldn't take you too long to get it as long as you had Dratini and the candy. Dragonite, Swampert, etc. are still very, very powerful. However, if you look at that list, there are a lot of XL Pokemon. XL Politoed, XL Skarmory, XL Ferrothorn, XL Umbreon, as you see here, is in the top 10%. So a lot of people are using Umbreon, as well as the Alolan Ninetales, and of course our favorite Pancake that we should have, we thought we hated in Great League. Well, guess what? I had decided to make it level 50 and max out near 2500. So if anybody has a ribbon on their Pancake, please assassinate the Pancake as much as you can, as fast as you can, because I hate Pancake. Well, I hate Pancakes in Ultra League. I use a Pancake a lot in Great League, so I can't really hate that much, but you know it's what it is. But anyways, again, miscellaneous things, as you see here, Gengar, Charizard, etc., and all these other picks. The best lead, in my opinion, as far as like right now, and YTX was actually using this on a stream as well, is probably Machamp, to be honest with you. With Machamp, you can run through a lot of combinations, as you see over here. Even if you lose against it, if you can ditch a last-minute Rock Slide or a last-second Rock Slide, you can either, 1, force the chip damage enough to have you win the match, or 2, you could take out Pokemon outright. Machamp is the only one that, well, Machamp is basically the only fighter, as far as that I know, that can literally Rock Slide Talonflame and Articuno. Well, this is Premier, not Ultra, but it can Rock Slide both the Legendary Bird and the XL Bird to oblivion. So, again, Machamp is a very powerful lead. I think it really is deserving of the spot it's at right now. However, for Ultra Premier, I'm not surprised to see Empoleon, Dragonite, Abomasnow, and Obstagoon taking the top slots, and Galvantula. So, again, Machamp can beat a lot of lead patterns, so I recommend using Machamp, like you saw in my video. I know it's a big swing from Abomasnow. However, with the Fire type archetype being so popular now, Abomasnow, even though it's still really freaking good, is really dangerous to run. Machamp can bash its way through Abomasnow. Machamp can also beat the Flyers. So, because of that, there's not too much that can argue that Machamp is an absolute destroyer. So, again, Machamp lead, probably in your best interest. If you're using Empoleon or that team still works, as you see here, and a lot of people are still using it. So don't deviate. If it works, don't fix it. Unless something really overpowered comes out by Niantic, and somehow it's like so godly and overly powerful that you need that, and then it flips the entire meta, like for Talonflame XL. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope the data... I just showed you how you beat a lot of the popular leads and popular overall usage. Well, it hasn't changed much from before. However, it never hurts to go over information again, or just to know, like, hey, Empoleon's #1 again, let me take Machamp, Forearms, Goro my way. If you know Mortal Kombat and you know that reference, we can be friends. Anyways, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. I did take a while to analyze stuff because I wanted you to know how to beat stuff and how to know stuff from the 2-shield scenario, just because I spent so much time looking at this. Again, Machamp is probably your best interest as a lead, just because Cross Chop and Rock Slide have so much coverage against the entire meta. Even if you lose the lead, if Machamp has enough energy or your opponent's Pokemon is hurt enough, Cross Chop or Rock Slide can possibly just destroy it outright. Anyways, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Good luck in Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.